I used to love making games, but then I stopped. Somewhere along the way I thought I had to do everything by the book. Follow the best practices, study every tutorial and get everything perfect. But the more I tried to do it right, the less fun it became. So I started doubting myself. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this, maybe I will never be able to build something that people actually cared about. So I quit, for months. And then one day I had an idea for a new video. An idea that reignited everything, making me remember why I started making games in the first place. Not to be perfect, but to create, to have fun. This is a story of how I got hooked with game development all over again. And maybe if you hit a wall too, this video will help you remember why you started in the first place. So let's go back to the absolute start of my journey. I started off by playing a lot of video games, like a lot of other guys. But then at one point I was thinking, how are these games actually made? How does the player walk? How can I interact with things? How is the entire world built up? How does this all work? So that made me apply to a high school program focused on game development. But for the first maybe year, it wasn't much game development. We were really just learning the basics of programming. The first game I made was a 2D platformer where you could pick up coins and there was some spikes you could fall onto. This took like 2 or 3 months to build because, well, I didn't know anything and the code was really, it was not good code. But it was a really good start. This then, in the second and third year, led me to actually creating games out of curiosity. The first real game I created was by following a course. So this was a Kitchen Chaos course by CodeMonkey. It was basically an overcooked game, but, well, slightly more simple. There was a 10-hour part for the core game, single player, and then another 4-hour part for multiplayer. And I followed this course for about 2 months and actually made a full game, and then at a later point made a multiplayer part of the game. This was really fun. I learned a ton from it. And it was the first game that I made, and it really snowballed into this whole game development thing. So after this project I decided that, I want to make a tavern game. So that's what I kind of did. I was like, okay, I'm gonna download all these assets and I'm going to make it, it's gonna be like this, and I made the character actually be able to walk, and then I kind of just left it. I didn't like the idea, so I quit. Then in the third year of high school, there was a high school project. So I decided I was gonna make 3 different games in 3 different time frames. The first game I made was based on once again, a course by CodeMonkey, but this was a builder tower defense type game. So there was waves of different enemies that would come at you, and you would build towers and generators to protect your headquarters. It was really simple. I added some other features like different enemies and different buildings. This game I made in a month, and then I got started on the second game, which I made in a week, which I called Chromish, which was basically a tower defense kind of type game, but in 3D. There would be melee enemies and ranged weapon enemies that would walk around trying to kill you and spawning all the time. And you had a gun and you had to shoot them down. The third game was Balling, which I made in 48 hours, where you're basically a ball throwing yourself at other balls, collecting points, trying to not die, getting chased by a wall. It was really simple, and that's why I chose it for 48 hours. The fun part was in the chaos, in the experimenting, in just building something fun for the fun of it, without overthinking what's it gonna be. After I completed these projects, it led me to my first big, I could say, dream project. I call it Automation Haven. It was a game with a mix of Factorio, Satisfactory, and some of my ideas. Basically, you extract ores, you refine them, and turn them into products. Then you take these products and accept contracts from companies and deliver the products to the companies, and you earn some money, and there's really no end goal yet. I worked on it for about a year, and my biggest problem with it was the power system. Like, I remade a power system maybe 3 or 4 times, and I still never got it to work. This really did demotivate me to actually work on the project. It made me also procrastinate actually fixing the problems. So instead of fixing the problems, I tried to add more and more features, cluttering the entire game. So like one day I was like, okay, I love RimWorld, so why not add a random event system that has like messages on the side, whether like the price would go up and the price would go down and such things. And sure, it was fun to add, but it really cluttered the game. So after working on it for about a year, I didn't really know where the game was going. It had no end goal, there was no real scope, I just added more things. And I didn't really like the idea of it anymore, because there was just too much. So I kinda left it, maybe I'll take it up in the future. After that I was like, okay, what do I do now? So I saw these videos on, oh, you should join game jams. So that's exactly what I did. I joined a 48-hour weekend game jam called SKC Game Jam. And it was actually really fun to do. The theme was board games, and so I took my favorite board game at the time, Cluedo, and made it into a video game. Call it Murder Minute, and it's basically a murder mystery game. You go and find out who the murderer is, what the weapon is, and what room it happened in. And it was really fun to make. After that game jam, I was once again like, okay, what do I do now? What do we do now? I have no real project. So I wanted to build on my multiplayer skills. So I was like, okay, let's make a multiplayer real-time strategy game. Because that's a game I really loved. I played on Roblox, like when I was 10 years old, called The Conqueror's 3. So I wanted to remake that, but in my own style. I made the units, I made the buildings, I even made a map, which I usually left for last for the other games. I got stuck on one part, and that was making the nav mesh and unit selection work in the multiplayer environment. I worked on it for about a month trying to fix the nav mesh, and after time I just gave up. I moved on to something else. What I moved on to, I wanted to experiment some more. I was gonna make a Flappy Bird game, because I've seen all these YouTubers that was like making cool games and VR games. So I was like, okay, let's make Flappy Bird in VR. I was literally standing in this room just flapping my arms like crazy, trying to develop Flappy Bird in VR. I have recorded all of it, but I never made a video on it, so if you want a video on it, subscribe. After I completed that Flappy Bird game, I decided to join the Brackets Game Jam, and the theme was Calm Before the Storm. So I was like, okay, let's make a horror game. Because I've watched some expert videos, game development expert videos, where they're talking about, okay, everyone should make a horror game. So I was like, okay, let's make a horror game. It was gonna be a low-poly horror game, where you would be stuck in a house with a monster, and you had to purify all the rooms with symbols and items. And I liked the idea at first, but after about 4 days in, it was a total of a week, the game jam, I realized that I'm not gonna be able to finish this, because I didn't work on it that much actually. So instead I was like, okay, what if I made it into a real horror game that I could actually publish on Steam? And I called it Echoes of Steel. And it was really the turning point in my whole game development journey. But while I was building Echoes of Steel, I started studying game development seriously. I was watching all these tutorials, reading all these articles, researching marketing, trying to do everything right. I was following the best practices, watching courses, trying to make the perfect game. It was gonna be a horror game, it was gonna follow the Steam stats, it was gonna be one of the best Steam games. I was gonna focus hard on the marketing, I was gonna contact all these content creators and be like, oh, try my game, do this, it's gonna be fun. But the more I tried and the more I wanted to succeed, the less fun it actually became. I started doubting myself too. I was like, am I really gonna be able to finish this? Is this gonna be good? Is this gonna even succeed? Am I just gonna leave it? So that made me come to the conclusion that I'm just going to release Echoes of Steel and then I'm done. Eventually, I quit for a while. I set other goals for maybe the coming 3 or 4 months, where I was gonna focus on my studying. I focused on some of this YouTube channel, trying out other business ideas and things like that, to see what would align with me. But then one day I was sitting just brainstorming some video ideas for this channel, and I was thinking about AI, because I was focusing on AI. So I was like, wait, I can make games. So what if I made a video about where AI makes all the visuals for the game? And I was like, that is a really good idea. So I wrote it down, and I called this game Gather and Grow. Literally 2 days after that, I got a suggestion from a friend. And they were like, oh, I love these cooking crazy games. Could you make a cooking crazy game? And I was like, yeah, I could probably make that in maybe a week or 2. I already had these 2 projects. So I was like, what if I combine them into one? And I started on this project. It was going to be a wilderness chef. And something about it reminded me why I actually started with game development. the creativity, the fun, the chaos, just building something because I enjoyed it. It wasn't about doing everything right, it was about building something fun and enjoying the building and the process. And suddenly I was back in game development. And now I am absolutely obsessed again. I want to work on this project all the time. Every evening I sit and work on it, as well as working on new projects. I'm experimenting, like this game first going from, okay, I'm going to make a Forger style game, but I also want some city building aspects, but what if I combine the two? So now we have city building, Forger game. But then my friend was like, oh, cooking crazy games are fun. I was like, oh, maybe I could bring that in, but then it's too big, so I gotta take the city building out. And now I have this wilderness chef idea that I'm working on so much, and I love working on. And now it feels fun again, like actually building what I wanted. It was like when I started, like with Automation Haven, where I just built cool system that would make it more efficient to make even more cool systems and just build this amazing cool game in the end. But I also think a big part of it is that I can use AI to make visuals, because I have purchased all these assets online that I've used for my previous games. I've also realized that these assets packs don't have everything that I need, and that's a real problem. And I'm not rich, so I can't go buy all the asset packs. Having AI, the GPT-04's built-in image generation, helps it so much easier to create 2D visuals. So that's why I'm focused on a 2D game right now. But I still want to grow, I still want to actually succeed, but I'm more focused on the building and the fun of it. I'm gonna build from excitement, not pressure. So if you hit a wall too, maybe it's time to forget the rules for a second and just remember why you started. Build for fun. I know that in the future I'm going to focus more on building small games that don't take longer than like 3 or 4 months. Just build something fun, release it and see how it works. Maybe I'll do some marketing on the side, but I'm going to focus on the actual building. Just experimenting, seeing what works, and doing the thing that made me start. And if you want to see the video on Gather and Grow, subscribe. And if you want to see the video on Flappy Bird VR and I should actually make a video on it, you can comment that down below.